spread that message. So, Jerry, do you want to share? He's about to pass out. It's I don't know what time it is in South Africa. You want to share real quick, just a brief recap on South Africa? Come up here real quick. This is Jerry, who works with us.
Wow. Do I have 5 minutes or 20 minutes? No, just 2 minutes. Well, we had a tremendous time in South Africa, and like Banning said, we just got back this afternoon. I'm trying to stay awake, so no better place to come than the church to stay awake, so I'll get back on track. But we were there. We were in 5 cities. Or actually, we had 5 meetings. Johannesburg, we did 2 conferences. The first one sold out in 4 days, and so we added a second day, Friday, and did another conference that sold out. And then we went to Durban, Port Elizabeth, and Cape Town. And it might be probably ranked right up there, maybe the top 3 conferences that we've done since I've been with Jesus Culture. Absolutely amazing to see the hunger and the passion in that nation for the Lord, and just watching the youth and young adults just going after it. But a couple, Scott Thompson was there with us, and he was speaking and so forth. And on a couple highlights, Friday night, I would have to say 600 or more people that we could count got healed. Just radical. I mean, a guy that was born deaf for 38 years, his ears open, could hear for the very first time. People that were in car accidents and had, bones did not heal right, were just straightening out, getting up, walking, knees. It was just, it was hard to keep track of all of the miracles that were taking place in that meeting. And we were calling them up front, and we were in a place that there were 7,000 people there. And so we were a pretty big auditorium, and we were calling these people up, and just the testimony after testimony was just unbelievable. And but that night, Scott prayed for a girl, and this is kind of this is a story that's kind of a testimony that's ongoing, and there's kind of a lot of moving parts because he keeps getting, each day he's getting something added to this story. But he prayed for a girl in Johannesburg on Friday night. And Scott preached, and just, going out and being a radical revivalist. And so this girl just wanted to be a revivalist, in her school. And so Scott prays for her. She's from Port Elizabeth. She drives back on Saturday, goes to church. Her dad just recognizes that God's all over her. Sunday, he works in the school system, the public school system in Port Elizabeth. He is responsible for having the assembly where he brings the whole school together to speak to them on Monday. So he asks his daughter if you would like to come and share what God's doing. This is a public school system. There's about 1,500 to 1,600 students that attend this school system. She shares her story, what happened, gives an altar call, and 700 kids stand up to give their life to the Lord. It's just, they then prayed for a student that had cancer and was given, don't quote me on this, because like I said, this thing just kept coming. But if I understood it right, was given 7 weeks to live. They prayed for him, went back to the doctor, and they could not find any cancer at all in his body. The reports just still keep coming how she is meeting with student after student, and she's leading students to the Lord. I mean, it's just unbelievable what's going on in that school system, and just one girl that gets radically touched by the Holy Spirit can go back in and change their school. Come on, man, that is just unbelievable. And so it really was a week. We started on Friday in Johannesburg, and we ended on Friday in Cape Town, and it really was just a week of God just moving in that nation and in those conferences. One of the other highlights that I'll share is on Saturday night in Johannesburg. I spoke Saturday afternoon, and so we had a girl that came up that was in the occult Satanism since she's been a child. And she got radically delivered, but her pastor brought her up and felt led by the Holy Spirit to take 20 minutes out of the evening service to share her testimony. Now, if you guys are pastors, 20 minutes, that's a long time. So I'm like, you want to be sensitive. This could be God. Doubtful. 20 minutes is doubtful. 5 minutes might be God, but not 20 minutes. So, I'm listening to her, and the girl's not saying a thing. The pastor's doing all the talking. This is the Lord, and she's got to share this. And so, I did what none of you would do. I said, let me go talk to Scott, and I'll get back to you. So I didn't really have any intentions. I heard part of her story, but I really didn't have any intentions. Anyways, Scott's speaking. I never did talk to Scott about it. Scott is speaking that night, and I go back to get the band because Scott was wrapping up. And when I came back in through the door, there was this girl standing waiting on me with another one of her friends. And she said, Jerry, she said, I don't want 20 minutes. I want 5 minutes just to share what the Lord has done. And she said, I've never shared this to my church or shared my testimony at all, but I really feel like the Lord. So I quickly had her share what happened. She gets up. So Scott closed out the meeting, and the band was just getting ready to go into One Thing Remains, and I stopped them. I stopped them right as they struck that chord. I'm like, we've got to share this. This girl gets up and shares her testimony that she had been in Satanism and in the occult since a little girl. She had a friend that told her about the Lord, and she didn't want anything to do with it. As a result of just her lifestyle, she was going to commit suicide. She had a 9mm gun, and she's walking up this hill to take her life. And the only name that she whispered under her breath, she said, was the name Jesus as she's walking up the hill. She unloads this. She puts the 9mm gun to her head and unloads it. All of the bullets fire, but none of them go in her head. At that moment, she drops to her knees and asks this Jesus into her heart and gives her heart to the Lord. For a year, this was a year and a half ago. This girl's probably about 30, I would say. About a year and a half ago, or that was a year and a half ago, she went through deliverance and breaking free of all that she had been in, but the torment and of those that have still been in the occult coming after her was just intense, and she was discouraged, wanting to give up, but she knew that the Lord saved her life, and so she's in this battle. Well, she has this encounter with the Lord where he takes her to heaven, and he's taking her and showing her around heaven, and Jesus is walking with her and showing her the stars and the galaxies and all that she created. And she asked him this question. She said, Jesus, where are the 3 favorite places you like to be? And he said, 1 is with my Father, 2 is with all that I have created, and he shows her all of the galaxies and the stars and everything. And he said, 3 is with my people. And he takes her to this dirty bathroom where there's drug addicts and alcoholics and just, all of those type of people that are just bound by sin. And he said, this is my very favorite place to be, right where they are at. And at that moment, she comes out and she recognizes the love, that the Lord has for his people and for her. And more stuff just absolutely breaks off of her. She's sharing this testimony. And I mean, she is just so articulate in how she's sharing this. And so I give an altar call. And I've been around, I've been in the church for 20 years and seen a lot of altar calls. And our team is still talking about probably this altar call. We were talking about it today, flying home. It was just, I've never seen, there's 7,000 people there. And they are just running running to the front. I mean, literally running to the front, and they're dropping on their knees, and they are just sobbing and sobbing. And I mean, it's not a preacher story. They are just absolutely just crying. Girls are coming up, old people are coming up, and they're just kneeling down. They're standing there. They're just crying. I mean, it was probably, we just all stood there. I don't know if there was a dry eye in the place. I mean, out of all of us, I just hadn't witnessed anything quite like that before that I could remember. And then I had her lead them in the sinner's prayer. It was absolutely amazing. And she prayed over them afterwards, and it was one of the most powerful, of what altar calls and witness that I saw. And so it was just a phenomenal time in South Africa, and we look forward going back sometime and just kind of seeing what else happens.
Yeah, come on.